Hi everybody, how are you? I'm Cassandra Hope. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, a holistic personal trainer, and I'm the owner of Health Style by Cassandra Hope, which is a holistic wellness company here based in Toronto. And the reason why I called my company Health Style is because I find that it's this trifecta that really helps people to get dialed in and achieve the level of health and wellness that they've been looking to achieve. And it's in the areas of movement, so exercise, the relationship that you have with your body, the way that you move your body, as well as nutrition, so the relationship that you have with food, and not just about calories in and calories out. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, which means I never talk about calories. It's really about dialing into your intuitive eating skills. Our ability to eat intuitively as human beings is almost completely lost in society these days, I find anyways. So I coach people on how to repair that relationship with themselves with food. And then the last thing is the relationship with yourself, your mind, your spirit, your soul. Are you living more in a self-loving, positive headspace, or is there a lot of self-judgment, a lot of doubt and negativity? And these are things that I work with my clients to help to repair so that we can have an overall really positive experience in our bodies, in our minds, and with our relationship with fitness and wellness. So that is what Health Style is. And I decided to do this Facebook Live today because a question that I get almost every single time I work with somebody on nutrition, when they come to me as a personal trainer and nutritionist, is how do I lose weight? And everybody wants to know, how do I lose weight? What is the path for me to get to where I can fit into those size jeans again that I loved wearing, that I felt really fit in? Or when I can go on vacation and wear a bikini and feel really confident, or when I can get naked in front of my significant other and feel really dope, like really sexy and wanted and comfortable in our own skin. So this is what I hear a lot of question asking regarding. So I decided to do this video so that I could share my personal experience with weight loss and also how I help my clients. So just to give you a little bit of a background on me, I would say I've always been a very petite woman. I've always been very small. But I have dealt with a lot of chronic inflammation, and that is due to genetics. So genetically, I've done some testing to find out why is my body behaving this way, and what I learned is that my body doesn't have the greatest ability to detoxify on its own. So it needs a lot of support through foods and also nutraceuticals, and I spent a lot of time learning that. It takes time to learn what our body needs in order to stay in a really balanced, healthy place. Also, I have had a lot of struggles with gut health, and gut health is a major contributor to weight gain, water retention, inflammation, etc. So I had to get that corrected in order to see my body look healthy. It was never about, oh, I feel overweight. I live an unhealthy lifestyle, or I had an unhealthy relationship with food to the point where I was overeating and eating a lot of, there were points where I was eating a lot of crap foods, but really my issues were rooted in water retention and inflammation because my body was not processing foods properly or detoxifying properly, okay? So this led me to have a lot of guilt and a lot of shame because without education, without fully understanding why my body was behaving the way it was behaving, I just took on all of the onus. I was like, I'm never going to be able to step on stage as a fitness competitor and really feel proud of my body. Why is my body resisting me? Why is it not behaving the way that it should be behaving based on, the way I see other people eating and working out? Their bodies perform a certain way. Why isn't mine doing that? So again, the education piece is huge in allowing us to break away from the guilt and shame and complete ownership, where we are confused about why our bodies aren't doing what we want it to do. right? So I have recently, I would say fairly recently in the past couple of years, cleaned up a lot of my health issues that were rooted in addiction, that were rooted in poor gut health, a really unhealthy mindset about who I was, what I was deserving of in terms of love and relationships and friendships and family. All of this stuff really kept me ill and inflamed. And when I was willing to face my life in that trifecta component of body, nutrition, and relationship with self, then I really started to see my little frame look little still, but healthy. Healthy is the key word here. So I do have a history with feeling really confused in my body and not knowing what the right diet was or what the right path was for me to get really healthy and achieve my goals. So for those of you who are struggling with any of these confusing mindsets or places of being in your body, being really confused, know that I may not have been exactly where you are right now, but I've been somewhere similar. So I can empathize. And I also have done a shit ton of research to understand what does the body need in order to find balance. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. And I'm going to approach it in terms of the 5R approach. For any of you who have done any Candida protocols or gut restore protocols with practitioners, or if you have done our 12-week gut restore program at my sister company, the IBS Academy. I'll put the link in the comment section below so you can see what I do on the gut health side of things. Then you will be familiar with the 5R protocol. And really this is just a very systematic way of approaching healing. And it works really, really, really well. But I'm going to kind of change it and make it my own today. This is completely not what we do at the IBS Academy, but it is what we are going to be focusing on today in this video for health style. So number 1 is remove. That's the first R, remove. So remove, first and foremost, we want to remove the crap foods from the diet that cause weight gain and inflammation. So we're looking at gluten, dairy, alcohol, and sugar, okay? And that means processed sugar. So things like fruits are totally fine. Maple syrup and honey is totally fine. But when we're looking at white processed sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, all of these things that have been processed, we really want to step away from that. We want to step away from gluten and dairy, these things that cause a lot of inflammation on the body, in the body, that make it really difficult for your liver to detoxify. And when a liver is not detoxifying, then we start to see the body hold on to fat. And not release stored fat. And this is something that I'll probably do a separate video on because it's that big of a topic. But if you can commit to 2 weeks of removing gluten, dairy, sugar, and alcohol from your diet and just observe, see what happens. See what happens to how you fit your clothes. See what happens to how you look in the mirror. Do not use a scale as a way of measuring your success. I cannot stress this enough. A scale is a very one-dimensional way at looking at the body. And in my opinion, it is outdated. It really does not give us enough information, and it's actually an abusive relationship. None of my clients, including myself, have ever had a positive outcome from getting on the scale. Even if you've lost weight, people tend to be afraid of regaining those 2 to 5 pounds. They're constantly looking at the scale as a way of measuring their success. And there's anxiety tied around that, and there's a lot of really deep emotional pain that can also come along with not seeing the scale shift in the direction that you want it to. So I always advise, use your clothes as a way of measuring your success, use the mirror as a way of measuring your success, and also positive feedback from your loved ones. A lot of times people will comment on how your body is changing. And really, I would also only accept the positive comments. People who have anything negative to say, I really would consider creating a boundary there and asking them not to share any of their feedback if it's painful. That's something that I would really ask your loved ones, hey, if you notice something positive about what's going on, I'd love to hear about it. But the negative stuff, I'll leave those conversations to me and my health coach. Potentially it's me. And we can have a constructive conversation around roadblocks or things that might be keeping you from achieving success. But use your clothes, the way you look in the mirror, and positive feedback from loved ones as a way of gauging your success. Please, please, please end the abusive relationship with your scale. Throw it out. Donate it. Throw it out rather, because you don't want to pass that crap on to somebody else who's potentially going to have a really abusive relationship with themselves as well. And you can also use a BMI or a caliper. A lot of people don't really like using calipers because you're getting pinched in fatty areas by somebody who you might not be super comfortable with, but it is a really good way of gauging your success in terms of how much muscle are you gaining versus how much fat are you losing. It gives you a true reading of where your body is at. So that would be the first one. Remove crappy stuff from the diet. Gluten, dairy, sugar, alcohol. Reassess at the end of 2 weeks and see, how much am I improving? Is this working? Maybe this is a step in the right direction for my health. And oftentimes it is. If you have more questions as to why an elimination diet like that works well for people, please reach out, Cassandra@CassandraHope.ca. I would absolutely love to have a free consultation with you to teach you about these fundamentals, these really good foundational ways of approaching health and weight loss. Number 2 is replace. So replace your diet, replace your kitchen, your cupboards, your fridge with healthy, nutritious food that is alive. You want food to give you energy, to aid your cells in detoxification, and to aid your cells in building proteins and hormones, supporting the liver in detoxification. The only way that we can do that is by eating foods that are actually alive and high or rich in nutritious in nutrition. And what we want to remove from the diet is highly processed foods that are dead, that take our body a lot of energy to actually process that food. And it's so simple. You can obviously see why that's important. If we're dealing with a health issue, or we're dealing with, we're in a situation where we're just starting to rebuild a relationship and trust with our bodies, and then we're eating boxed, processed, potentially bleached, or non-nutritious foods, then the body isn't really going to love us back. It's not going to necessarily do things that we want it to do. So it's really, really important that we replace our fridge and our cupboards and our freezers with nutrient-dense, alive foods. So that could be flash frozen foods, it could be freeze-dried, it could be dehydrated, it could be fresh, or it could be a high quality processed food, such as like Mary's crackers. If any of you guys have ever had those gluten-free crackers, and they are comprised of seeds and whole grains that are gluten-free, rich in fiber, and nutrient dense. Okay, so that's an example of a good potentially good boxed food for you. And then the other thing is, we want to also replace the mindset with healthy, positive ways of thinking about ourselves and our bodies. So when we're dealing with any negative situation with our bodies, if we're stuck in a negative mindset about ourselves, these are cyclical patterns that tend to replay themselves in our lives until we are ready and willing and able to dig from a toolbox and change the way that we internalize life, stress, ourselves, triggers. All of these things need to be addressed in order to change the way we think about ourselves and our body. You cannot calorie count your way out of an unhealthy mindset. You cannot train your way out of an unhealthy mindset. You can't step on a scale enough times to get yourself out of a healthy and unhealthy mindset. So I cannot stress enough, part of a weight loss protocol is also to be brave enough to look at the things that might be keeping you stuck in a really heavy vibrational, negative, downer frame of mind about your relationship with self in regards to exercise, food, your body, whatever. But I encourage you to investigate that and start to build a toolbox so that you can break free of whatever it is that's holding you back. Okay, this is huge. The next R in our 5R program is to reduce. So you want to reduce the amount of unhealthy behaviors. So like I just said, it can be surrounded by, the mind frame, where you're at in your head and your heart, but also unhealthy workouts. Just because you're going to CrossFit 3 to 5 days a week does not mean that's a healthy thing. Just because you're lifting super heavy weights or deadlifting, your PR, you're running longer distances, but you're still stuck in weight retention and maybe even gaining more weight, this is a huge red flag. It could mean that there's some humility to be had, that maybe you're not doing the right workout for your body. Everybody needs something different. So it's important to be vulnerable enough to look at the fact that maybe the workout you're doing is adding so much stress to the nervous system, so much stress on the body that it's actually causing you to hold on to fat retention or to gain more weight. And this is a huge thing for people. I am a victim of this. I used to go and train so hard in the gym for an hour to 2 hours, lifting heavy weights on this tiny frame with a predisposition to burnout, adrenal fatigue, and poor detox pathways. And I would go to bed for an hour to 3 hours after a workout, and I was gaining weight and I was inflamed and I was constantly getting injured. So this is a perfect example of somebody who should have been doing more restorative workouts like hiking, walking, yoga, Pilates, body weight workouts, low intensity stuff that was being kind to my nervous system and my tissues. Okay, so if you're getting really tired, if you're holding on to water, holding on to fat, if you are chronically getting injured, these are all signs that maybe the workout you're doing is not the appropriate workout for you. I look like such a mean teacher right now, just wagging my pen at you guys. I'm sorry. I take that back. So that's reducing the amount of negativity in our minds and bodies, but also reduce the amount of pro-inflammatory workouts that you could be doing and replace it with the appropriate workout. And I can definitely help you with that, should you want to reach out. Repair. So you want to repair the relationship that you have with your body. And what that could mean is, it's different for everybody, but what I often see is it starts with the gut. So people have guts that are not functioning properly. There's a lot of inflammation in the digestive system. Their elimination pathways are really sluggish. That's one big thing. The other thing is, and it also goes in conjunction with poor gut health a lot, is healing the hormonal system. So we're looking at the way that our body is producing hormones and potentially not detoxing hormones and hormone byproducts, and what that leads into in terms of excess cortisol or not, or too much estrogen. So estrogen dominance, not enough estrogen can also be a massive issue. So these are things that can lead into issues with your thyroid. We do not want to ignore symptoms early on, because what happens is if you ignore them over and over and over again, eventually, unfortunately, our bodies get to a place where there's no bandwidth left. It just cannot handle any more pressure in this vessel. So genetic predispositions start to turn on. And we do not want to find out what your genetic predispositions are. We don't want to find out what your body will do in terms of poor health if we ignore the early signs too often or for too long. Okay, so repair the relationship with your body, guys. Look at the symptoms that you're having. If it's chronic acne, skin irritation, inflammation and chronic injuries, PMS. PMS is a huge one. PMS is not normal. We should not be experiencing PMS to the degree that we do in society. We should have minimal symptoms, if not none. But that's a sign that there's some work to do in your hormonal system. So guys, address that first before you start getting into these extreme therapeutic diets, which brings us into our last R, which is repopulate. So repopulate your regime with the appropriate therapeutic diet. So if you're asking what's a therapeutic diet, Cassandra, well, pretty much any diet that is not just eating a well-rounded whole foods diet. So when I graduated from holistic nutrition school, I was of the school of thought that everybody should be able to eat a diet rich in starchy carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, all vegetables, all nuts, all seeds, all protein, all fats, right? And if they aren't, hi babe. And if they aren't eating a diet like that, or if they are and they're experiencing a lot of symptoms, then that means that there's work to do to repair the body. And I thought that that work should be achievable. We should be able to get to that place. But oftentimes we can't, and I don't have the answer for why that happens always. Sometimes we just don't, with all of the best efforts and the greatest protocol in place, sometimes the body just doesn't respond the way that we anticipate it to. And that's when a therapeutic diet can come in handy. So an example of a therapeutic diet is the ketogenic diet. This is really, really popular right now. But know that that diet is not for everybody. It's really, really important that you first go to a healthcare practitioner that you trust to assess your specific health situation and say, yes, I think that this high fat, high protein, and specific vegetable diet is ideal for you to lose weight. I have seen incredible success with this diet. I've seen people lose very stubborn weight within a week to 2 weeks of starting this diet, where the weight just falls off. I've had a client reverse her diabetes and go off all diabetic medication, including her insulin. And myself, I've reversed my sugar cravings using the ketogenic diet just for 3 weeks. I am no longer somebody who craves sugar all the time, and that was a major issue for me for decades. So this can be a really beneficial therapeutic diet, but it has to be used at the right time and in the right situations. So I urge you to not just jump on a blog and start implementing the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet, the low FODMAP diet, without having somebody recommend it after assessing your specific health situation. I cannot stress that enough. Because as much as people praise therapeutic diets, there's also another side to that coin, which can be affecting our microbiome, affecting the way that our bacteria behave in our gut, which is a really big thing. It's huge. So we have to respect the way that the body is digesting foods, and the signs and symptoms that might come up on some of these diets are quite serious. Using the keto diet as an example, again, for a lot of people doing the keto diet, they get very constipated because the bile production might not be flowing properly, the liver might be a little bit sluggish, and then we're not digesting fat. So they get either really bad constipation or, on the other end of it, really bad loose stool. And this is terrible. We don't want to be having either of these situations happening. If you have questions about that, again, I urge you to reach out, Cassandra@CassandraHope.ca, and I can educate you on the negative impacts of having chronic loose stool or chronic constipation, and how that ties into weight loss, because that's a really big issue for people who have weight retention and are not losing weight properly, is digestion. So we just went over the 5R protocol. Remove, replace, reduce, repair, and repopulate. And we went over it in a holistic way. So how do we incorporate the mind, the body, and nutrition to achieve weight loss in a healthy way, right? So this is just a little teaser to get you guys aware of what's possible when you're dealing with chronic, stubborn weight retention, and how I can potentially help you as a health coach to develop the appropriate workout regime for you, the appropriate nutrition protocol, and also help heal some of those emotional and mental patterns that keep you really stuck and going back for reaching for that crappy food, or shopping in the wrong aisle, or binge eating because there's some really deep emotional pain going on. These are serious and real issues that we can work through, guys. So I hope this video has been really beneficial and helpful to inspire you, as always. If you have more questions and you want more information, pop on my website, CassandraHope.ca. CassandraHope.ca. Wow, so many emails floating around my head right now. And I would love to hear from you, and I would love to help you, and I hope you're all doing really well. I'm going to be doing these Facebook Live videos weekly, so look out for my topic next week. I'll be posting about what to expect in that video early on next week, and have a great day. Ciao.